A pleasure to meet all at last, and welcome back to HJN Season 4. So what we have for today is going to be known as reading. Yeah, quite a simple subject if you ask me, but the requests do pile up in many different ways. And there are some interesting subjects that I will have in line for the near future. For now though, this is what I have for 2647. So let's just get on with it, shall we? Reading is, of course, an activity that has been taken up for generations and has been around for much longer than that of most other recreational comforts, studies, and etc. A number of different activities that people are known to take on today will mainly include electronic entertainment, television, video games, and even social media. But as we know, reading was one of the main precursors to that of most social gatherings and events, tailored specifically to harness the power of socialization. And because reading is seen as a big subject, especially for those who want to improve their everyday lives, mental health especially is big in terms of reading as a whole, simply because large walls of text happen to be one of the main sources of knowledge and information, as well as the uses of writing, as well as language. Because there's a good amount of things that you can find in just one book that you read, especially if it's a chapter variety, then well, you can expect tons of words to pop up, even ones you've never heard of before. And sure, there are some ways that you can learn about certain words, but let's be real. The internet is only so much of a helpful source, because books have long been known to keep a hold of certain words, even ancient ones that not many would dare to speak anymore. The times have gotten rather simple, really. What kind of words would you possibly use? Would you use bequeath, serendipity, or conjunction? Or maybe it could be something that's even more complicated and long, like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Then again, Mary Poppins has been around for a pretty long time just as well. So I'm sure some people might know what the word is, or even what it defines as. I probably won't make that an HJN topic because, man, I don't even know if I could fit it in the YouTube title box. Either way you look at it though, reading is an art that is seen by many people. And while today you can expect lots of books to come around, even box sets worth of books. Like, take a look at the Five Nights at Freddy's Tales of the Pizzaplex series. 8 books for the low price of only $50. I'd say that's a decent value right there. But above all that, regardless of what genre of books that we got around there, from thriller to science fiction, regardless of what author was behind it, from Edgar Allan Poe to Jonathan Swift, regardless of the duration and page length that goes on, from 200 to 700, you can expect reading to pop out with a big variety in all libraries and other such biblical contexts, as well as biographical standpoints, in which that books are seen as a big source of certain information. While a good amount of them do try to put together certain information that's helpful to the person whom reads them, especially if you're looking forward for the next big ACT test, well, one thing is to be known. Books aren't exactly like how most electronic related information works. Unlike certain sources that we know of on the internet, like the Oxford Dictionary and whatnot, the hardback or softback paper copy book versions of such things don't exactly update. It's kind of like what goes on with EA and all of those sports games they make. Every single year they release the same thing, with an updated roster, an updated series of fields, an updated series of everything else. So when you think about it in the long run, there's a reason why the internet and electronic portions of such information that usually came from books back in the day proves to be way more useful because of how simple it is. To have it update constantly, rather than have it update once a year only for you to buy the same thing again. And let me tell you the truth. I do have several versions of Alan Borshek's Calorie King books. The first one I got was all the way back in 2009, and I could thank my grandparents for that. And the latest one I got was from 2024, the latest issue that we have so far. I'm sure the 25 version will come around at some point, but who knows? Since Canada is supposedly going to be bringing along some of their snacks to the United States, including Bounty Bars, which I love. Hopefully they bring Coffee Crisp as well. Maybe they'll be featured on Alan Borshek's Calorie King book for 25 just as well. We'll just have to wait and see how that goes. But that's just the whole idea of how one book can guarantee you a lot of good information, while another one gives you even more information. You buy the same thing twice, or multiple times. But here's the real good question though. Would you rather buy the same thing in paperback, hardback, or whatnot, only to get updated every now and then, every year, or would you just go to the internet and have it update for you every single minute? So that way you can be constantly informed on what to avoid and what to keep in your diet, regardless of how Calorie King works and how the value of the many caloric counts are put together on the nutrition facts label or whatnot. That's at least a good example of what to look for. If you're trying to stick to a simpler life with books, it's one thing. But if you're trying to use the internet, it's another thing. Simple life is the definition of what everybody needs. But the thing is, everybody's thinking that simpler lives were made when books were around more often than electronics. Yet when you think about it, the electronics seem to be way superior than the books. Because they're always free, first of all. Unless you're paying for an internet bill every month, in which case, that's a whole different topic. But after all, we get updates on it every single time we look at it. Whereas with books, they only come out once a year. Much like certain holidays. So, that's quite a conundrum that you have to put together. But I have the answer to that. It's better to lead the simpler life. Use something that constantly gives you information that you need, rather than wait for something to come out every year. So, you guys are clearly wrong on that part. Simpler lives are made with the internet, not away from the internet. But after all that, I'm more than glad that I've put reading together as its own subject on HJN, and I'll be back tomorrow with more stuff. So, if you want to see more go down on my channel, then make sure to like, subscribe, comment, follow me wherever you can find me, and stay on the Hollywood side.